as I got to college, I started to experience injuries, and some pretty severe injuries where I had to take time off from my sport. And that is really where God kind of hit me with the question of, hey, where are your priorities at? Because for me, as soon as I wasn't able to be on the softball field and kind of produce as a player, my entire self-worth kind of flew out the window for me, especially my sophomore year. And that's where really it started of my whole journey with identity and finding my worth in God. My sophomore year, about 2 weeks before we left for winter break, I ended up completely tearing a bunch of ligaments in my ankle, and I needed major surgery where they had to put plates and wires and stuff on my ankle. And that was a huge setback for me in the moment. I was just raised as a tough kid, like kind of suck it up, rub some dirt on it, you'll be fine. And with an injury like this, I couldn't do that. I had to take quite a bit of time off. And I think my breaking point was not being able to walk. So as a kid, I always wanted to be that tough kid, like tough as nails. I got this, I can do it. And to not even be able to walk was the thing that really, it hit me super, super hard. And I fell into this trap of depression, and that's where I was at. I couldn't play softball. I couldn't be a leader on the field. I couldn't be a good teammate. And these are all things with perspective that I know they were put in my head by Satan. None of that is true whatsoever. I then got into my junior year, and I ended up tearing my labrum and my throwing arm. So I had to have surgery for that again. And I knew going into that surgery, I was very hesitant because I knew how I handled my ankle the first time. And I didn't want to be back in that dark place that I was. And I was determined. I ended up becoming an FCA leader at school. So that's Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And as a leader, I'm still not perfect. No way, by far not perfect. But as a leader, I knew that I was kind of being called to something higher than I was before. And I wanted to not live up to that standard, but just I wanted to further my relationship with God to make that authentic. So I wasn't just talking the talk, I was walking the walk as well.
Yourself in a moment now of a failure, you make an error, strikeout. Like, one, do those lies that you used to tell yourself ever creep back into your mind? And like, if so, how do you deal with that?
Right. They for sure do. I won't lie and say that they don't. But I write things in my glove. So my glove has words written in it. Mm-hmm. And my sophomore year, junior year, doesn't really matter when I wrote it in there. But one year my word was purpose, because I was playing for a bigger purpose. I think Carson Wentz has his audience of one sort of slogan that he follows, and for me that was almost like my own slogan that year. I was playing with purpose, and my purpose was to be a Christian first and then an athlete second. So in those moments where I'm going out to the field because I just struck out or I made that error, I'm able to look at my glove and see purpose. All right, Beck, like, what are you really doing on this field? Because it's much more than fielding that ground ball or hitting that double. And then the following year, my word was focus up. I'm a psychology major, so I love everything related to thoughts and the brain and stuff. And the psychological benefits from just looking up when you're feeling down, basically, so keeping your head up essentially, is like your body physiologically responds to that. And so for me, it was twofold. In those moments where I was getting down, I was having those thoughts, I could physically focus up, pick my head up, but also I could focus up on God and who I was playing for, why I was playing, again, bringing purpose back into it. So focus up for me has been one that I've really enjoyed and stuck with, and I'll touch it on my glove when I have those moments just to kind of remind myself. But I highly recommend writing on your glove or your cleats if you're allowed to, just looking at something, even writing something on your arm or whatever. That's been a complete game changer for me.